Today we're going to review an adventure module for Legend of the Five Rings RPG, Winter's Embrace. This is all about the Winter Court, or a small section of it, like 2 weeks of the Winter Court. It's a long winter. But we got the adventure of the adventure module. We have our beautiful, awesome map. And of course we have the third component, the tokens, and all the NPCs and some creatures sometimes. Not much to say about them. Players can find one that looks like them, like, oh, who is this character? I'll be them. Samurai minis ain't exactly cheap or easy to find, so, you know, they fill that role. But we do have stuff to say about the map that it comes with, and it was this map that really made me realize just how much the map is affected by the culture that it's made in, because really they're made by hand and they can't be 100% accurate. So there's going to be some changes, some differences, and it's really highlighted when you put the Shadowlands map, the Crab Clan land map, next to them, and you see how dark and dreary it is, because it covers the Shadowlands, and then this is the Crane Clan lands, the Diplomat Clan map, and they're also like artsy pacifists, and so it's a lot prettier looking, and both of those sort of contrast with the more straightforward, even-ish, kind of clinical-ish approach that the main Empire map had. It's still a work of art, but just not quite as much. But also the most noticeable difference that I really loved, I appreciate this detail, is the proportions of the land. Obviously they're going to be different. That they don't have the most precise instrumentation. So like this area here, the same area on the map, the peninsulas are all different shapes and sizes. I like that. That's really neat. Anyway, this map is the Crane Clan / Mantis Land section of the main map, which we already saw in the Courts of Stone book, except instead of just one page, it's 4 times the size. So that's kind of neat. And at the very least, you just have 2 copies. You look at the book one, the players look at this. Anyway, the opposite side, we have another thing that's actually kind of familiar from the Courts of Stone book, if you saw that review. The Doji Palace, the Kyuden Doji, the big palace where the Winter Court is set, which, I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's what it's about. It's the Winter Courts. But, you know, we have the main keep of the Crane Clan, and then little guest houses for all the other main clans, and even the minor clan Mantis Clan gets a guest house, plus a guest house for the other minor clans, whoever else is there. If your player's a Deer or Bat Clan, because they house ruled it, because we don't have the stats for that yet. They need to come up with a minor clan book to cover as many of the minor clans. This whole one minor clan per book thing it's not acceptable. Get the let out with those minor clans. Anyway, this was in the Courts of Stone book, but, you know, obviously smaller, like quarter the size, give or take. But this, again, familiar, because you just saw it right here. This part. This part is just blown up, and we see the downward cross section inside the view that I like. That downward angle is perfect for these maps. You get to see enough detail of the room so where you could take a grid paper thing and dry erase marker your own, or copy that room onto here, and so it's like you have a bunch of little mini maps. What kind of encounter could you have there? Just make up your own, which is nice. And seeing this kind of makes me feel like I'm looking through a Rokugani spy satellite. Like, you could start from the core book small version of the main Empire map, and then just constantly zoom in and enhance to gradually bigger, more detailed maps. Eventually you like get into someone's bedroom, like in the palace here, which is kind of creepy and funny. Anything horrible real life is funny in RPGs. That's how it works. There's also a map room in here, and I swear these maps are so detailed. I wouldn't be surprised if there was another full-on Rokugani map and you could just keep going, zooming in over and over and over again in an endless cycle. Anyway, even though the adventure, as I said, takes place 2 weeks over the entire Winter Court thing, just with this map alone of the compound in which it's taking place, I feel like I have all the content I need. Just never look at a map as a GM and feel like, oh, I could spend forever here, even though I'm not totally into the diplomatic stuff. As a GM, I could spend forever here just because the maps are so good. I love the maps in this game so much. Cannot say that enough. Okay, finally let's talk about the adventure itself. Like all the other adventures from the beginner game, GM kit, other modules, it's like 31 pages, and they feel about the same length. This one I do have some issues with, though, mostly out of preference for the type of adventure I would want to run. But first of all, minor grievance, they kind of trick you at the beginning, at least I was tricked. So all the delegations at the Winter Court, the main clans, the minor clan, Mantis, and also the royal families, they're all here with their own houses, as I said, but they're here for a reason, to negotiate. They want things, they have things, they can trade, do diplomatic stuff, sneaking, backstabbing, blah, 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 blah. They all have a state of affairs, and they want things because of that, and that's all listed here. So, Dragon Clan delegation. The winters have grown longer and harder, and I'm not reading all this. They don't have enough people, enough babies to harvest all their rice. Well, I don't think they have babies harvesting their rice. Although Dragon Clan is really weird. I don't know what their rituals are. Until we get that Dragon Clan book, who knows? They don't have enough people to harvest their rice, so they're kind of growing hungry. So they're looking to gain 10,000 koku worth of rice, which I think a koku is a year's worth of rice for a person. 10,000 to feed their samurai, or 30,000 total to also feed their peasants. If you can muster that much, they're just peasants, who gives a crap. And they are willing to trade for this. Let's see, they got slots in some of their schools, their Miyamoto and Kitsuki schools, whichever ones would maybe more than 3, depending on what books you have, I think, maybe. So you can do the whole foreign exchange student thing. And they can also spare some bodyguards for a year to serve in the courts for some money. So when I first saw that, which is awesome, for every single great clan they have, even the Mantis Minor clan, they all want stuff, and they have stuff to trade. You just sort of assume they put that work in so that you, as part of the delegation of your clan, could somehow scheme or fight for those resources, make deals, and maybe your clan has X amount of school slots to spare and X amount of other things to spare. You have X amount of primary resource, X amount of secondary resource. There could be a game mechanic where you could give 2X of your primary resource to trade for this, or you could also make the check easier if you throw in sacrifice one of your secondary resource units or whatever. Make it generic so it kind of fits whatever. I don't know. In my head, I was thinking all these different ways you could make it work, so no matter what, a player would have some sort of mechanical thing to actually acquire the resources. Like, this is our goal, right? This is our goal? This is not our goal. This is not, it could be your goal. It depends on your clan. Most of this stuff, it's long-term goals for the clan, for the winter courts as a whole. As I said, though, this only 2 weeks. 2 weeks, though, and it doesn't really address these resources that you're asking for that much. Although there might be more to this in the free stuff online. I don't remember seeing it, though, so I don't know. The clans that are most connected to this are Crane, because it's their house, Mantis, because it's kind of a main part of the story, the plot. I'll try not to spoil it too much. And I guess Lion, because Lion and Crane have big rivalries. Crane want to look good, Lion never want Crane to look good, so I guess those players would have the most stake in it for the clan, sort of a situation, which is a shame because the online venture does this better. What I thought this was going to be, it does that better, where at the very beginning we have a conflict of, okay, Phoenix and Dragon Clan have claim to this magic kid, this magical prodigy kind of a kid, I guess. And each of the players will get a letter from their clan saying, hey, go help out the quest giver, because the quest giver has to decide where the kid goes. Go help them, and also we want this clan to win, or that clan to win, or we don't care, we just want the quest giver to like us, or maybe other clan goals that you have. And none of the players know what the other players have in their letters or what they're trying to do, or if they even have letters. Maybe they can assume they got letters. You send a text on Facebook or whatever in between sessions. No one has any idea. Everyone has special missions which may or may not be totally in line with each other or opposing. Who knows? That's fun stuff. You need to have that in your Five Rings games, even if it's only on the macro level where you're fighting together on the way to a town, because, we're all samurai, we're part of the same empire, the same class of people. There's a bear trying to eat one of us, might as well help out, that sort of a situation. And then you get to town and you have different end goals, some of which may be kind of opposing without even realizing it. And so you split up and kind of do that passive-aggressive, sometimes not entirely passive PvP, which is one of the best parts of Five Rings. The way it's built, the world is built, it just begs for that kind of stuff to happen. and have an adventure that really breeds that, that's awesome. The online adventure, what is it, Swords and Scrolls, or Blade and Scroll, or something like that, for free, the PDF, that one's cool. Go do that. If that's what you're looking for, do that. It takes place during the Winter Courts, but I guess at a later date. But anyway, if you want the players to have clan goals that are more tied to this mission, well, I guess you could go through the lore, through that adventure especially, or whatever other books give you a sense of where the rivalries and the alliances are, or could be, or what they're looking for. Because there's little hints and bits of information spread throughout the books, and so maybe through those books you can get a sense of what the Crab Clan player really should be rooting for if you don't know already. That's a good shorthand, is that Sword and Scroll, or whatever it's called, Adventure Online. Use those basic goals to... Does that work? It kind of works. It can work. Even just outright tell individual players, you know from your clan's culture that they would prefer this happened instead of this, as the situation permits. And there is some cool stuff, ramifications for how the Empire moves forward. Different clans could gain power, lose power, hate you, like you, depending on decisions. There's like 5 or 6 different things that could happen, or different variations on the ending, which is kind of neat. I like that. So make no mistake, your choices will have an impact on the alliances of the clans. It's just not quite in the way you might think from the initial presentation of... You're not really concerned about the Dragon's Clan's rice stores, although I was really into it for some reason for a minute there. Anyway, enough talking about what the adventure isn't. Let's talk about what the adventure is. So, basically, the part I don't like as much, there's a series of just like small social diplomat type of encounter, what do they call them, schemes or something? The more social encounters where you have to not do a faux pas to win, basically, that type of stuff. Like, you go talk to the quest giver and you gotta do a tea ceremony that lasts like 3 hours, and you gotta roll a check or 2, maybe a couple checks or whatever, to make sure you don't grab the small fork instead of the slightly larger small fork and, you know, embarrass your clan or bring dishonor to your ancestors. This is the kind of stuff that, if anything, I would like gloss over, or, you know, you do a talking check to find out more information, and oh, you fail? Okay, I guess you trip and fall face first into the tea? I don't know, that's at least kind of interesting. Why would I even describe, oh, you grabbed the wrong fork, or oh, you stumbled over you didn't say the right words in the right order or something, and how embarrassed you are, oh no. It's really hard to envelop myself in the culture and give a crap about little tiny things like that. Hashtag Crab Clan for life. So this kind of stuff would be hard for me to GM. I'd try to just make it a nice, quick check, and really mostly focus on the character interaction, the back and forth, and not those little intricacies, but the getting of information. This kind of stuff would be annoying for me to GM personally. I wouldn't spend too much time on it if I can, but hopefully not at the expense of players who are interested in that sort of thing. In fact, we have stuff like be a model guest, little goals where you could be a model guest or do some other thing where you have to do a couple things, meet a certain requirements. I guess it's like an achievement you could think of, sort of, but you could get a certain reward from it if you're going out of your way to be even more socially acceptable. I don't know why you would care about doing that sort of thing, but you know, Crab Clan for life. Anyway, there are other encounters like that focus sort of on decorum or other court-like things. There's a bow and arrow competition, which isn't nearly as interesting as it sounds. There's a game of letters and passing back and forth poems of certain requirements, and it's really a matter of preference, sure, but a lot of this crap I don't care about. Some of these they seem kind of separate, I think. Some of them are intertwined with the main plot, which the main plot is basically the Mantis Clan is here. Who invited the frickin' Mantis Clan? Why are they here? They have an invitation. Who sent them an invitation? I don't know why they have an invitation, but they have an invitation and they're here. What the hell? That's the mission. That's fine. And it's actually kind of, it's more interesting than what I am making it out to be. The why of it, I don't want to get into spoilers. Should I get into spoilers? Put up a text that says spoilers. Spoilers, it deals with the marrying off of someone to a future emperor or like a prince or someone in the royal family. And Mantis want that to happen, but someone else is behind the invitation happening, and they're trying to embarrass Crane. The Lion Clan, obviously, I'm hiding it like it's not the spoiler section. The Lion Clan are trying to embarrass Crane, so they're behind it, right? I actually don't remember reading where they're behind it. Here's the thing, this is actually so boring to me. I've had to prepare so much to do this, much more than most, because I just cannot slog through it. You might say, well, you don't have a good idea of the adventure, you can't really criticize it, but the fact that I can't get through it, or it takes so much effort to get through it, you know, maybe that is some valid criticism, or at the very least just shows it's not really my preference. They spend too much time on the talking and the diplomatic stuff, not in a way I find interesting. Which is weird, because I know that there's been adventures in other games where the diplomatic stuff found interesting. It's diplomats who have different perspectives on things, and they want to argue and debate, and then the players have to see things from different perspectives. That type of stuff in the courts thing, that's interesting, but like oh, his poem was kind of lame, ha ha ha, tittering behind fans, tee hee, you drank tea wrong, your clan's gonna die now. Like, that stuff just, I just can't, dude. I really can't. There is kind of a neat thing with the matchmaking component. Does have a nice creative way of how to first get someone into position in a play. There's a play involved, and you might not want this person in a certain role, and you want to do stuff to make sure that doesn't happen. But if they're in a certain role, and then because the play is about Emperor Royal romance, the perception of the play and the story of the play and what it meant, interpretation of it, and how that's influenced by the audience, the players and other people there, that could sway the royal family's views on love and marriage and blah 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 blah. That could affect the matchmaking aspect of it. So that's cool. For some reason, I'm really attracted to the Sheikah matchmakers as a player. The Samurai Yenta, why not? So any kind of interesting stuff with the matchmaking, I really appreciate. Is there combat? Sure, not much. There's like a duel here, a little combat encounter with some other reason over there. It's mostly just a lot of talking and describing rituals and that sort of thing. It doesn't have to be, it depends on how you run it. But this is definitely something of an acquired taste. If you have a group who really isn't going to be interested in running it, or for your GM who's not going to be interested in running it, there's still content here, it's just that you would run it differently. You would run it more your way and your style. The initial slog of getting through reading it to understand what's going on will be kind of irritating, but still there's some good stuff here. It's a matter of just paring down crap I don't care about. I'm glad I have it, and I'm really glad I have those resources of the clans. I kind of like the idea of part of a campaign taking place over the entire Winter Court, and slowly tracking for the players the amount of resources that their clan has, and giving them a sense of how their actions are affecting the amount of resources they have. Like, you're trying to get that 30,000, or at the very least 10,000 worth of rice for your dragon clan. You're not the only diplomat there, but you keep screwing it up, and now your people are going to starve. Way to go. That's fun. I like that. I kind of like taking a campaign break into the winter and doing stuff like that, and all the players aren't necessarily working together. That's neat, and this is a good resource for it. The free adventure online is way more what I want from this type of adventure, and it's free, so that's nice, but, you know, the maps is good. NPC tokens is a good resource. It's decent. It's not the first module I would get by a long shot. Shadowlands I would definitely get before. This one, Sins of Regret, I would definitely get before. The Phoenix Clan one, that's not even released, but that's where you have a TPK, you all die, and you have to fight your way out of the underworld, or scheme your way out of the underworld, or whatever. Not even out yet, absolutely I would buy. So yeah, this is definitely last for me. Unless you're really into the intricacies of samurai culture and court stuff. But if not, just get it last. The Courts of Stone book should scratch that itch pretty well. You don't need an adventure to help with it. Free adventures. There's free adventures. There's also one where you're doing a marriage thing between like two vassal families, which is completely unrelated. There's enough diplomatic stuff with this, and like you can hold off on this one for a while. Not bad, but someone's got to be last in line, and